Welcome to the Four Visions Market podcast, a space built on the principles of integrity and reciprocity. Together, we will engage in thought-provoking conversations about plant medicines, why these plants are coming out of the rainforests, jungles, and mountains after thousands of years, and what it means to be in right relationship with the ancestral wisdom cultures and guardians of these traditions. I'm your host, Mariah Gannessa, founder and director of Four Visions Market. This podcast is the natural evolution in our commitment to providing you, our tribe, with incredible resources to support you on your healing journey through plant medicines. Welcome home. Welcome back, Four Visions family. This week's episode is a super special one with my teacher, Taita Juanito. We did a free workshop a few weeks ago on the topic of spiritual diets, and it was an amazing conversation, so we felt like it was worth putting it on the podcast. We had an incredible turnout for the live class. Over 500 people signed up and over 200 people joined us live. And the feedback we got was phenomenal. We hope you enjoy this incredible, powerful, and educational talk with Taita. Taita Juanito Chindoy is a native son from the indigenous Amazonian region of Putumayo, Colombia. He has been committed to sharing the teachings of his ancestors and the healing of humanity for nearly 20 years. Taita, which means guide or teacher, is a title of reverence bestowed upon him by those who love him the most. Taita Juanito carries the medicines of love, compassion, and forgiveness. He is a world-renowned healer, traditional botanist, and medicine man. He also is the founder of the retreat center Finca Ambiwasi, where we host traditional ancestral healing retreats 4 times a year. We hope you enjoy today's beautiful talk, and thank you, as always, for tuning in. Well, welcome everyone who's tuning in. Thank you once again for being here, for taking time out of your Sunday to join us for this beautiful conversation. My name is Mariah Gannessa. I am the founder of Four Visions Market, and it's a great privilege for me to be here today with you all and to get to host my teacher, Taita Juanito, on our platform and get to welcome him in this way at this time. So before we bring him on, just a quick introduction. Taita Juanito is a traditional Ingano healer, medicine man, botanist, and an incredible teacher to many people. He has been stewarding a vision to bring the medicines out of the jungle for the last 15 years and has been pioneering a path of sharing his ancestral culture with people all over the world. And so his open heart, his dedication to helping humanity to wake up and heal, remember, and come home to the heart are some of the many reasons why I love and respect this man tremendously. And without further ado, I welcome him to today's talk. Thank you so much, Taita, for being here with us all.
Bueno, pues muchas bendiciones a todos los que nos están escuchando y muchas gracias.
He thanks us all for the opportunity and to Four Visions for hosting this talk today. And he says it's a real privilege and blessing to be able to have these talks about the ancestral wisdom and to share a little bit from his culture.
Bueno. Sí, entonces, ¿cuál es el para hablar?
Taita comes from the culture of Yagé. He is from the Ingano tribe, and they follow the footsteps of their grandmothers and grandfathers that have shared their formulas and recipes and ways of the tradition for centuries. In this way, we are sharing the way of Taita's culture, from the stories, the ancestral practices of the plants and the diets, the ceremonies of Yagé, and all the tools of his people that allow us to enter deeper into the heart, continuing the work that our ancestors left for us to do. What is the purpose of the spiritual diet in the culture of Yagé?
Bueno, pues primero lo que se hace es como nosotros entramos en un campo.
The spiritual diet allows us to enter into a space of spiritual studies. Through drinking the medicine and walking the path, we discover a path of healing. The visionary plants guide us in this path, and through this walk, we observe that the cultures have allies, and the allies are the plants that we work with through these spiritual diets so that we are able to walk in a beautiful way. The diets allow us to strengthen ourselves spiritually through the technology of the plants, and then the wisdom and the messages of the plants that we receive through the diets go plasmating and staying within our spiritual bodies, fortifying us and bringing us clarity and wisdom. Sí, mi taita, hay varias preguntas.
What is the purpose of the spiritual diet in the culture of Yagé?
Bueno, sí, vea.
When we enter into a spiritual diet, the first study is to determine which plants we are going to work with. Each person's constitution, physically and spiritually, is different. And each people need different things when they go to work with the diets. So some people will need to work with protection plants. Others will work with sweet plants. Others will work with plants that are specifically for spiritual counsel and for gaining clarity and wisdom. We also have the vomitivos, which are the plants that cause vomiting and purging, which are an elemental part of the culture and are used for cleansing and supportive to go deeper into a spiritual diet. Depending on what a person needs to work on, whether it be wanting to heal their depression, wanting to cultivate self-love, wanting to heal their traumas, there are different plants and different diets to follow.
Uh-huh. Sí, y entonces ahí lo que nosotros hacemos es...
So Taita explains that what we do is we collect all this information through the studies of Yagé, as well as through our studies and sharing across cultures of the plants and how to use the plants. So, for example, Taita has learned about other plants that are not from his culture through his time traveling. And he's also learned about plants that are from his tradition, but are used in different ways from different tribes. And so we collect all of this information, and this serves as like a library that helps us to guide people to determine which plants the person needs to work with. There are many different ways to work with the plants, through plant baths, through teas, through lotions, through smudging, saumedio, and through tinctures. These are just some of the ways. And then there are many different elements and aspects of each plant that we use for different things. For example, we may utilize the root of a plant for a certain, to treat a certain issue, and then we may use its leaves for a completely different intention. And so it is important to understand which plants we're using and why, and from that place we construct the person's spiritual dieta. ¿Sí, mi taita?
¿Ah?
Sí, señor. Puede seguir.
Bueno, entonces ahí nosotros encontramos...
There are many different amounts of time that one can diet. There are diets that last 7 days, 13 days, 23 days, 37 days, or longer. It depends on what is needed and what we want to work on in these diets. There are many different ways to find the sensitivity or to come into contact with ancestral information and specifically the wisdom that we are searching for within a diet. As we walk a spiritual path, there are many techniques we call upon, such as meditation, prayer, and spiritual practice. It's the same with the diet. First, we have to determine what are the tools that we have accessible to us in our region, what are the plants that we can count on, and this will be limited based off of where we are in the world, what we have access to, and the forms that we have access to these plants. For example, we may have access to a plant in a tincture form, but we may not have the raw plant material. So that will inform whether or not you can do plant baths or simply work with the plant in tincture form. There are many different ways to do a spiritual diet within the culture of Yagé, and that is perhaps one of the most important elements of today's talk, is that we want to clear up the belief or the misconception that within the diets of the Yagé, there's only one way. It's depending on where we're located. It's depending on our capacity. Can we diet for a month or can we diet for 6 months? It's depending on what we have access to, and it's depending on our time commitments and the ways in which we can deepen in the spiritual diet. And then from this point, we go building our diet. We go creating the diet that we're going to take, and we start preparing ourselves to make that spiritual commitment. Okay, señor, muchas gracias.
Bueno, entonces, pues nosotros tenemos
For
una
example, the
planta
Bobinsana plant is used to open the heart, to deepen our connection with the earth, and to rediscover our self love and heal the sadness that we accumulate in our lifetimes. Oftentimes, we carry impacts or baggage from dreams unrealized or situations that have happened in the past, and we use Bobinsana to heal this. The Bobinsana has spirit, it has its own songs and chants, it has its design for how it can work with us and help us in this way. But in the Western world, many of us won't have access to Bobinsana. However, there are other plants that are similar in design to Bobinsana that we can utilize to work on these very same things. And Taita names basil because the basil's design, energetic and spiritual design, is very similar. And we can work with it in the same way through teas, baths, and placing our intention and asking the basil to help us to open the heart and to heal this sadness and to deepen our roots and our connection to the earth. Mm-hmm.
Sí, así mismo, ¿no? También nosotros encontramos el tabaco.
Another
Pues
example
ya
is that
sabemos
of the
que lo
cherry
podemos
caspi
encontrar.
and tobacco. The cherry caspi is a plant that we utilize to eliminate the cold energy in the body and to soothe fears. And it's a beautiful flower that mostly is found in the Amazon. However, for those who want to work with healing the fears and eliminating the cold energy in the spiritual body, tobacco is a plant that most of us can get access to, which does a very similar thing. And so these are examples of the ways in which there are complement plants that can support the intentions that we're setting, even if you may not have access to the plants that are traditional to the architecture of the Amazonian wisdom cultures.
Bueno, pues
there are many humanizing plants and protector plants that carry us towards finding more sensitivity with the connection with life. All plants have their function. They all have spirit. Even the most insignificant plant or tree has spirit and has wisdom. In this path, we find that humanity needs to relate themselves more to this ancient technology and have more contact with the spirits of nature so that we can rediscover this information, this connection of intuition and peace that comes through a greater relationship with nature. For Taita Juanito, the plants are so beautiful that when we use them in a sweet way, giving reverence and honoring them, we are able to do them justice and be in respect of their wisdom. We are living in a very interesting time where we find that there are many alternative practices that allow us to have beautiful processes in deepening our connection with the force of life. It's about waking up the parts of ourselves that are asleep. It's about claiming the wisdom that was left to us by our ancestors. For this is why they left us the visionary plants, to use them with respect so that we can continue sharing this life, feeling the freshness of the gift of each day. So that is why we do the diets. That is why we have our ceremonies. The plants are so beautiful because they carry us on this path of reconciliation with self, nature, and all of humanity. Through this process, we walk hand in hand with the spirit of the plants. Muchas gracias, mi taita.
Can you elaborate on the diet of good thoughts and what it entails?
Claro, sí. Bueno, pues la dieta del
Taita explains that oftentimes we accumulate many thoughts over time that inform the way that we experience our life. So this can be excessive thinking on a regular basis. It can also be the thoughts that we have about experiences, impacts, traumas, and wounds of the past. The spiritual diet is about finding our own empowerment to be able to bring our excessive thoughts or illness into balance again. In this way, we work with bitter plants because they serve as a balm of healing, lowering the frequency of the excessive thoughts and worry. And then after we go through this process, we then work with sweet plants to be able to receive this new day and find the sweetness again. We also observe that through excessive thinking, we'll never be able to find peace. And so the spiritual diet allows us to enter into a review where we go reviewing our lives, everything that has happened, everything that is happening, asking God to show us the messages or the wisdom that we are meant to discover through the mirror of whatever life is showing to us. So if we're having a lot of bad thoughts, or we're dealing with sickness, or we're consistently affected by the traumas and impacts of our past, a spiritual diet is an opportunity to look at all of this that we're facing and receive guidance or clarity to be able to find the gem of wisdom that is being given to us, a gift from creation through whatever that mirror is. ¿Será que usted puede elaborar un
Thank
poquito
you so
más
much,
sobre este
Taita. Can you
proceso
please share more about the process of dieting the thought?
Sí. Bueno,
To be
pues
able to
para
calm the
nosotros llegar
thoughts and
a
the
esa
noise of the
dieta de
mind,
lo
we have
que
to make a
estamos
plan.
hablando.
This is the purpose of the diet. If you have 7 days, you can diet for 7 days. If you have longer, do it for longer. But in this process, we recognize that everything that comes up during a diet comes to speak to us. If a fear arises and that's what's coming up throughout our diet, it's an opportunity to speak to that fear, to dialogue with the fear, understanding that these thoughts are coming and showing us that there's an imbalance in the spiritual body. And so only by speaking to this fear or this thought can we bring harmony and balance, finding an internal silence once again. And only from that point, once we've dialogued with the fear, heard what it has to say, acknowledged it, and brought it into balance, only then will the fear retire or go away. If we identify with a thought, or we find a super repetitive belief of something that just won't go away and keeps coming back, that's when we have to enter more deeper into investigation of the root origin. And through nourishing our minds with good thought and being vigilant in our diets and in our spiritual practice, we're able to bring this into balance and to find resolution in this process. Sí, señor.
¿Qué más?
Hay varias preguntas al respecto a
When can we
podemos
diet?
dietar.
Can you
Aquí nos
diet
han
when you are
preguntado
working
si es
with
necesario
ayahuasca or other master plants? Can you diet while microdosing? Please explain a little bit more about the parameters of doing a spiritual diet.
Bueno, sí. Pues bueno,
Taita explains that the plant path is so beautiful, and the visionary plants of San Pedro, peyote, mushrooms, Yagé, ayahuasca, yopo, and all the master plants are here to support us. We observe that there are various plants in different regions that can be used to advance our spiritual studies. For us, for the Inga people, when we go to drink Yagé, we enter into a spiritual diet both before we go to drink to be able to ready our physical and mental and emotional bodies to receive the wisdom and counsel of Yagé, as well as after the ceremony, we diet to integrate the process. However, it is not necessary to drink medicine to be able to do spiritual diets. We recommend that you open yourself to receive allyship through the technology of the plants, and you can do that in a variety of ways. It can look like harvesting the chamomile and basil that is growing in your backyard. You can begin simply with that, starting to receive the information of the medicines that are growing in your backyard or growing wild, local to where you live. Taita also shares that microdoses, such as our Yagé microdose or the mushroom microdoses, are incredibly supportive to people who are looking to go deeper in their spiritual studies, as well as for a spiritual preparation and readiness to begin a path of the plants. So it can be utilized for those who are just beginning their studies and wanting to perhaps work up to coming and attending a ceremony. And the microdoses are also incredibly supportive as we continue the path and are looking to integrate and ground in the wisdom and the guidance that we're receiving through these master plants. When we work with the Yagé microdose, for example, the spirit of the plants is able to support us in finding both spiritual and physical vitality, and then it goes informing all of the ways in which we go through our day. All the plants have spirit, and human beings are whole in their design. And so then when we bring in the plants and we accompany it by the technology of the plants, and we place the intention for why we're taking this microdose or why we're opening to receive this plant, that activates in the tincture or in whatever form that we're working with and communing with this plant. And it ends up being an incredible ally and tool that we can call on to align ourselves and continue with these spiritual studies. Muchas gracias, señor.
¿Qué más?
A ver.
And now for this week's giveaway winner. Insert drum roll here, please. Our winner this week is Taekwondoista, who writes, upon pressing play of this podcast, you are hit by a beautiful voice and positive, expansive vibes. The Yagé series talks are extremely deep and give you so much needed wisdom to integrate into your life. I am so glad to find this series and these podcasts. So excited and grateful to be able to listen every week to learn this sacred wisdom. We are so grateful for your kind words, Taekwondoista, and are so happy to hear these conversations have been supporting your spiritual studies. You just won a bottle of our Yagé microdose tincture. Our best-selling microdose of the ayahuasca vine will help you open your heart on new levels and connect your mind to the infinite library of the cosmos. Microdosing has been used by traditional people for centuries in the event that, for whatever reason, the patient was unable to take the full ceremonial dose of the plant. Made in the Yagé tradition with fire, water, prayer, and chants, our Yagé vine microdose offers both spiritual and physical benefits to regular treatment. Please email us at thepodcast@fourvisionsmarket.com to coordinate the delivery of your package, Taekwondoista, and congratulations. To enter the ongoing raffle, all you need to do is write an honest review of our podcast, either on iTunes or YouTube. Sorry guys, Spotify, Google Podcasts doesn't allow written reviews, so Spotify, Google Podcast listeners will have to temporarily go to iTunes or YouTube to leave your written review. And that's it. We'll announce a new winner, read their honest review on the show each week, and give away some awesome products. And now, back to the show. Can you please share a little bit more about our upcoming virtual dieta taking place in September?
Bueno, sí.
So through the times, we have observed that many people want to continue this path. They want to commit themselves to the path of the plants. They're interested in doing the spiritual diets. They're wanting to continue drinking medicine. However, because of the challenges of time and space, we recognize that sometimes it's difficult for people to be able to travel constantly for ceremony, or their time responsibilities and schedule prevents them from being fully available to continue their studies by going to a center or going to the jungle. And so we have created an offering that we want to invite all of you who are on the call to join us in. And it is essentially a virtual dieta where we are going to be accompanied by Taita Juanito in this spiritual study. So it's a month-long dieta. And for those who are feeling the call to join us, we begin the first days of September. And so this path of healing, the way of the paths, it's so beautiful. And Taita shares that we will be deepening in all of this study over the coming weeks for those who want to join us in participating in this virtual study. So with that, I'm going to take 2 minutes and explain a little bit more about what this upcoming offering is that's starting in September. And then we're going to open it up for a few questions to close the workshop. So bear with me for 1 minute. I'm just going to share my screen and bring up the homepage of our virtual dieta, which is called Suma Yuyai, which is an Ingano term, which refers to the art of beautiful thoughts. And for the Yagé tradition, oftentimes we find that much of the diet occurs in the mind. It occurs in the ways in which we're relating to our thoughts. And in this container, you will have the opportunity to be guided by Taita Juanito and have the opportunity to ask him questions throughout your diet, receive teachings and counsel from him. But essentially, it's a 4-week diet. Each participant will receive a bottle of the Ambisacha Yagé microdose tincture made by Taita Juanito with the prayers and chants of his culture. You will receive plant baths, 3 bags of the sweet plant bath and 2 bags of the bitter plant bath. There will be wisdom teachings as well. So just like today's talk, we'll have 3 more talks throughout the 4-week diet where Taita will be deepening in the ways of his people and sharing the culture and the stories behind the spiritual diet and the spiritual path, as well as offering an opportunity for you to answer questions or to ask questions and get support on a more personal level of whatever comes up for you naturally. And then you'll also have the opportunity to connect with other participants who will be dieting through this time, and we'll be creating a WhatsApp group for people who are in the program, and it'll be a wonderful opportunity to create community and to get to share together as we go through this spiritual path. And so Taita Juanito will be facilitating this diet, and I will be supporting and accompanying him. And essentially, much of the topics that we have touched upon in today's call are what we will be going deeper in and elaborating more over the course of the 4-week program. So there'll be 3 60 to 90-minute long talks and Q&A sessions, as well as opportunities in which to ask questions. And there will also be guidance and practices given to you throughout the classes and throughout the program where you're able to essentially learn how to work with the diets of the Ingano people. And so that's just a little overview. I'm going to drop the link for this program, and you're welcome to check it out. And if you feel called to join us, we would love to have you with us. And essentially, we developed this program answering the call that we have in our community for people who are truly wanting to go deeper and wanting to diet, wanting to deepen their connection with the ancestral plants, and who are already very committed to the culture. But sometimes it can be a little intimidating to start your spiritual diet, and especially in the comfort of your own home, to be able to have the support of Taita Juanito throughout the process, and to be able to be held in your first serious 30-day diet will essentially give you the tools and the resources that you need to utilize spiritual diets as part of your practice going forward. And so that is the overview of our upcoming virtual diet. I believe the first class is September 4th, but we officially launch on the 1st of September. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out and contact us. But yeah, we really are excited with this new offering to be able to share it with you all, and invite anyone who feels the call in your heart to be a part of this, to sign up and join us with this upcoming program. So yeah, before we open it up for any other questions for Taita, I'm just looking through the chat. I see a lot of different comments here. We have time for a few questions now. Someone is asking a great question about what it will be the main focus of the upcoming virtual dieta. And essentially, each person is going to have the opportunity to set their own intention and what they're wanting to deepen in during the container of the diet. And then through the guidance that Taita gives and the platform and the teachings that we provide, you will be given the structure of how you go activating that intention and doing that unique spiritual work, because of course all of us have different things that we want to work on. And so for each person, their dieta is going to be different, and the way in which they're working with the plants, the way in which they're working with the prayers and the spiritual practice is going to be catered to fulfilling the intentions that they set at the beginning of the dieta. So it's a very beautiful process where you get to have support in activating and deepening your spiritual practice within the design of where you're personally at in your spiritual studies and what you're wanting to work on. So if you have any other questions about that, please let us know. Okay. Someone is asking about how you open and close a dieta. This is a great question. So I'm going to have Taita explain and elaborate on this. Señor, muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Taita. I explained a little bit more about the logistics of our upcoming program. Now we have some questions from the group. Someone is asking how one initiates a spiritual diet and how to close a diet.
Bueno, sí. Bueno, pues lo primero que para
To
hacer
begin a
una
spiritual
dieta
diet,
nosotros
the
tenemos que
first
llegar
part is to place a very clear intention. This is something that I was just talking about. This intention is based off of what we want to work on and what we want to achieve through the diet. And it's very important that we get really clear on the reason that we're doing a diet. For example, let's say that we're dealing with a chronic illness and our intention is to get to understand and get to the root of this illness and why it's persistently manifesting in our bodies. And so that's why we're dieting. So in this case, that would be the intention that we continue to come back to and continue to place at our altar throughout the entirety of the length of our diet. Then after we have a clear intention, there are various ways in which you open a diet. One of a simple way to initiate a diet is to do a plant bath to activate the intention and begin the diet through a recognition and an action of making that spiritual commitment. Then throughout the diet, we will go raising the frequency, working with this intention and investigating and opening ourselves to the counsel and the wisdom that wants to come through. And then when we go to close the diet, we always recommend ending with a flower bath, sweetness, to receive the new day and the refreshment that comes when we complete this process and come out the other end. It's important to note here too that essentially what we're working on throughout the diet, it's all about returning to the subtle frequencies. Oftentimes, we're very used to going to plant medicine ceremonies and getting all of these profound downloads. And Taita speaks often to the fact that that information of the ancient libraries of wisdom that we receive when we ingest sacred plant allies is available to us all the time, in every instant and in every moment. And so through these spiritual diets, we get the beautiful opportunity to attune ourselves to the subtle frequencies and the subtleties of wisdom that exist in all of nature, that is always there, wanting to inform us, wanting to support us, wanting to support us in achieving our optimum frequency of love and our optimum frequency of healing. And so this is what we do throughout the duration of a diet. Okay, señor. Señor, antes que traduzco, ¿será que puede
Taita,
contestar
can you please explain
la
the process
pregunta
of a
de-
diet when we remove certain plants and what the benefits would be for this? For example, let's say someone is recognizing that their relationship with Yagé might not be in a very balanced place. So they do a diet where they actually release the relationship and stop utilizing Yagé for the duration of the diet. Is this recommended, and how does one go about doing this?
¿Cómo así? De pronto, si yo estoy haciendo mucho rapé y quiero adietar para dejar la
Sí.
planta.
Mhm.
Bueno, no, eso también se puede. Vea, vieras que ahí entonces lo que
Okay, so
vamos a
Taita is
lograr
sharing a little bit now about
impedir
some
a
of the
través
ally plant teachers, such as Sananga, such as Hape, the microdoses, as well as Mambe, and any other medicines like Santa Maria, like ganja, that we utilize and how they relate to a diet. So we observe that there are many supportive allies that some of us resonate with and are already incorporating into our practice, that others work with in a different way. Essentially, each person is different, right? And we all have our own relationships. For example, one person might be really aligned with Hape and they don't work with Sananga. Another person might call upon Mambe on a regular basis and have an intimate relationship with the Mambe. And so we all have our different relationships to the supportive ally plants. The first thing that we observe is which of the plants is calling us to deepen in study. So when we go into a dieta, it's important that we do a observational practice where we review which of these supportive plants are asking to be part of this diet. The reason being that if we were to utilize all of these support plants in a diet, it would actually create more noise than support, because what we're looking is to deepen. And in order to deepen, we need to open and be receptive to be able to receive all of the teachings and the wisdom that only that particular support plant wants to provide to us. So if you have a strong connection with Hape for the 7 days of the diet, let's say you do a 7-day diet, you would work with Hape daily in your studies and placing the intention to deepen your relationship with Hape. Now, we also want to always incorporate other plants like the bath and the teas to support us in the diet, because this opens us up to the entire architecture of the design of nature. If you, for some reason, don't have access to any other plants, even like basil, chamomile, lavender, sage, which are pretty common and accessible, Taita explains that we can also bring in the element of water, and the element of water can also activate the intention and help to hold the space, which is our diet. And why, by working with water and placing it on our altar, we can drink the water daily and then work with our hape. And just those two elements are enough to initiate these spiritual studies in this way. As I mentioned, we don't recommend that we add all the medicines into a diet, because if we're doing a diet and we're working with mambe and sananga and hape, we're also doing a microdose. That can actually be counterproductive when it comes to deepening and allowing the medicine to deepen into our hearts and bringing us the tremendous amount of information that's accessible to us when we focus. And that's the whole purpose of a diet, is to focus our spiritual intention and our spiritual discipline to hone in and receive guidance, clarity, messages, and wisdom that we're looking to receive based on the intention that we're setting. And so we recommend that it's important to start simply with just one ally plant. And then after the diet, rest 8 days for a period of integration. And then if you have the opportunity to study with another plant, let's say you dieted hape and now you want to work with sananga, that's when you would then enter a different diet with the sananga. We also diet to harmonize and reorient our relationship to a certain plant. So you can also diet with intention if you're looking to reinvigorate and bring greater balance to your relationship with a certain plant. If, for example, you find that you have your relationship with hape is out of balance, a really beautiful way in which you can bring that into balance is by doing a intentional diet without hape for a certain amount of days, not just like letting it go and not like doing anything with it, but instead we enter into a diet where we're not utilizing hape, but we're doing so consciously, calling forth the spirit of hape to align us and to support us in deepening our relationship with the medicine and realigning ourselves so that we can work with this medicine in integrity and in balance and in reverence. And so this is a really great example of the ways in which we can work with diets to realign our relationship with the plants, and they can be incredibly supportive for us in this way. Oh, sí, entonces, pues porque yo estaba
Someone is asking about the element of abstinence during a diet. Why is this important? As well as the elements of certain foods that we take out during a spiritual diet, understanding that a diet is different for each person and what we take out or what we remove is unique for each person.
Sobre la parte de la
Okay, so someone was asking to explain a little bit more about the diet that we eat when we're on a spiritual diet, the food that changes in our daily consumption, as well as the sexual relations. And so Taita explains this in a very beautiful way, saying that when we do a diet, we want to make a payment, a spiritual payment or an offering to Creator to be able to raise the frequency of the spiritual information that is accessible to us during a diet. And so when we give certain things up, we are able to open ourselves wider to receive. And that is the purpose of making both changes to your physical diet of food as well as your intimate relations during the duration of the diet. And he also shares the sexual energy is something very sacred and we honor it. And when we channel it with love and sweetness, this is very, very beautiful. However, it is one of the most easily accessible ways in which we can say to Creator, to nature, to God, hey, I'm going to give something up so that I can receive something even greater during this spiritual study. And the same with the food. There are certain foods that are really heavy. And during the diet, we are wanting to remove any elements from our daily consumption that prevent our sensitivity to spirit. So essentially, one of the first parts of the diet is a review of what are the ways in which we utilize both food as well as even the sexual relations to take us away from the daily connection with Creator. These elements, by purifying these elements, we're able to go deeper into the spiritual diet. Many cultures have diets. So this is a very universal element for many of the indigenous tribes. And of course, each tradition has their own practices and specific recommendations regarding the food and then obviously the sexual relations. And during the upcoming virtual diet, of course, will be guided by Taita, and he's from the Ingano tradition. So the recommendations that we will be giving for the people who join us in the virtual diet will be based on the Yagé tradition. However, something that is important to mention is that we recognize that each person's experience with the spiritual study is going to look different and feel different. We also recognize that people will have different capacities of what they're able to give to this spiritual study. Some people will have to continue going to work or care for their children. And so while for some people, it will be very easy to eliminate many things from the diet and take this 30 days as a spiritual initiation, perhaps doing some extended fasting and going into solitude and taking it, really, really seriously. And this is very beautiful. We encourage this. But then the other side of it is for someone who wants to deepen and wants to be able to participate, but has certain limitations as far as what they can let go of. And I want to make it clear that in no ways should the elements of limiting certain things in our diet or daily actions prevent anyone from participating in this upcoming experience if you feel the call in your heart. Because ultimately what it comes down to is making an offering, and that offering looks different to every person depending on our capabilities and what we're able to let go of in a way that's going to be supportive to both our spiritual studies as well as life that continues, right? Our kids still need us, our work still, it requires things of us. And so that everything is welcome within the context of the diet. And the first class in the diet is going to be based on helping you determine what your diet is going to look like and help you gain the understanding to make the decisions that are going to be very unique to you regarding what your intention is, regarding what are the things that you're going to give up, what are the commitments that you're going to be making as a spiritual payment or offering for the diet, and then essentially understanding what plants you're going to work with. So we are offering and recommending that people microdose the Yagé tincture because this is made by Taita Juanito. It includes the prayers from his culture. And this is what we're recommending that you work with in this diet. However, if you don't feel called to the Yagé microdose or you already have it, you don't want to buy it again, it's not necessary to participate in this upcoming program. Essentially, we're going to be giving you the skills that you need to be able to create the diet for the first time with the support of an indigenous lineage carrier that will then establish your practice with spiritual diets. And so essentially, that is what we are hoping to provide to you in this program, and really will be open to supporting you and making it accessible to you in whichever way that means. Okay, mi Taita, pues yo creo
Thank you
que...
so much, Taita. This is perfect. For those who want to go deeper, we invite you to join us in our upcoming diet starting in September. Please share with us any closing words now, Taita, and thank you so much again.
Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias por este espacio.
Taita Juanito extends his many blessings to all of us here, and he says, thank you so much for this time, for this opportunity, and for your confidence in our culture. This path is very beautiful, and he says, I give thanks to all of you for the opportunity to share together today. We are here to be in service to you in any way that we can, following the steps of our ancestors. Many blessings to you all, and may you have a good path. May this path be open to you, and may it be full of sweetness, so that we can continue forward as humanity, giving honor to life and to all of nature. Thank you so much, and many blessings to you all.
Deep gratitude, my teacher, Taita Juanito. I will now speak a little bit more about Taita and the opportunities to come work with us in Colombia. Thank you so much for your time, and many blessings.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Bueno, muchas bendiciones. Adiós a todos.
I also just want to share that Taita Juanito has his own retreat center in Colombia. It's called Finca Ambiwasi. We offer retreats there 4 times a year. And we'll leave the link in the chat here as well as in the follow-up email. But Taita also shared that we would love to be able to serve you in person and that we welcome you to come join us in Colombia. If you feel the call in your heart, we would love to receive you for one of our year retreats that take place 4 times a year. Our next one is happening next week, but the one that's a little bit farther out is in October 20th through 31st. So it's an 11-day retreat, and we still have a couple spots left. We would absolutely love to receive you, get to meet you in person and work with you there in that capacity. So other than that, we thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful. It's such a pleasure to get to continue in this way, weaving together in community and creating this beautiful path together as a family of committed, devoted plant medicine practitioners. So thank you for this beautiful opportunity, and we wish you so many blessings for your path.
Bueno, adiós.
From everyone at the Four Visions Market family, we would like to thank you for listening to our podcast. We really hope that you've enjoyed the conversation and gained many new insights on plant medicines, ancestral wisdom, and much more. Please remember to visit our website at www.fourvisionsmarket.com for more resources and information on plant medicine and spiritual tools. And please don't forget to follow us across social media for regular updates on upcoming episodes. We are grateful for your support and look forward to continuing this path with you all. Until next time, take care, stay present, and stay connected.